Hey, it's Julie with Paradigm Interiors, and today I am talking about the design element of pattern and what pattern is and what you may not realize pattern is. So, the first thing that we think of when we think of pattern is we tend to think of the patterns that we see in fabrics or in wallpapers. And that is correct. That is one way that you can bring pattern into your home, is by adding pattern through textiles, through rugs, and through wall coverings. But there's a way to use pattern that most people don't think of right away. And that is using pattern by repetition through your furniture finishes, equipment, and accessories, and through repeating other elements of design. For example, one pattern that you can create using architectural elements or design elements is you may have like a window and then an open space on the wall, and then another window and another open space on the wall and another window that repeat over and over again. And then in between, on the spaces between the windows, the wall space, you could add some lighting. And so that way you would have a pattern of window lighting, window lighting, window lighting, which is a really nice way. Like if you have a really long hallway, you can actually use pattern in that way to add some visual interest along a long hallway. So you could do a piece of art and then lighting, and then a piece of art and another piece of lighting and another piece of art. And then you've created a pattern that gives you some interest down what could be a really long, boring hallway. So those are some things that you can consider. There are also just using pattern with textiles and rugs and window treatments, and mixing those patterns. So bringing in several different patterns, like a stripe and a floral and a small geometric pattern together. Things to keep in mind when you're mixing patterns, and I know I've talked about this before, is you really only want to use one large scale pattern. You also want to use a small scale pattern and a medium scale if you're bringing 3 different fabrics together. And so what that means is, if you look at what the pattern repeat is, and all fabrics have that information available, whether you're buying from an interior designer or you're buying from a window treatment workroom to do window treatments and pillows, or if you are going directly to a fabric shop or looking online, you can find the pattern repeat. So typically large scale patterns have a repeat of like 12 to 27 inches. 27 inches is usually the typical largest repeat you'll find, because most fabrics are 54 inches wide. So doing a 27-inch repeat means that the pattern is repeated twice on the width of the fabric. So you only really want to have one of those. Now, smaller scale patterns, if you have more than 3, you can use multiple small scale patterns. And then remember those tips of pattern mixing, which is make sure that you have one color that kind of helps tie everything together. So if you have a multicolored large scale pattern, you'll want to pull out some of those colors, or even just one of those colors, and make sure that you've used it in your medium scale and small scale patterns. The other thing is, looking at those different categories of patterns. So maybe having only one floral and one stripe, and then one geometric, and then finding some other types of patterns to go along with those if you would like to mix more than 4 patterns together. So I hope you find those tips helpful, and I hope you have a better understanding of what pattern is and how pattern can be used in your home. Oh, and I also forgot, you can use pattern in your flooring. So with tiles, With wood flooring, you can do herringbone patterns, you can do cross patterns, you can do a diagonal pattern. All of those things create visual interest and also can help a little bit with wayfinding. So, going down a hallway, you've got a herringbone or a diagonal pattern that helps lead people down the long hallway. So that is one other way that you can actually use pattern in your home. Hope you found that helpful. And next week, I will be talking about texture. So get ready. We're going to talk a little bit about texture, how you can use texture in your home, and when it's very important to bring texture in. And if you are interested in creating a classic and cohesive style for your home, please make sure that you download a copy of the Cohesive Style Guide. It's absolutely free, and it is your ticket into my online community where I share all of my videos and all of my blog posts and extra tips and bonuses for learning about interior design. And it is also the place where I share special promotions and special deals for my courses and my services. So hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week for texture.